Sequels! You love them, you hate them, it's inevitable. In the world of gaming and even media in general, it's impossible to avoid when something proves to be successful or popular enough. Well, most of the time. Even if it's not a direct sequel, maybe a spin-off or a spiritual successor, it's all in the same vein. So, we just got CS2. That's a sequel, right? But what about maps? For as long as we can remember, there was never a point where a sequel for a map was ever introduced. Sure, remakes happen, but those don't really count. Maybe that's how it's supposed to be, but actually, there are a few instances of maps receiving sequels or spiritual successors that are worth talking about, even if they're not official or were included in the game itself. Yes, okay, fine. I know you're screaming right now. Dust 2. It's a sequel, probably the only ever featured one, but at this point, the original Dust is such a distant memory, the sequel might as well not be one. The number is there, so technically it is. But did you know there's another sequel called Dust 3? Maybe you do know, but I don't mean fan-made sequels. No, there is an official Dust 3. It was discovered in the 2023 Valve repo leaks, and it looks like this.
Oh my god!
Well, it's something. There's not much to go on here. This here is A, this is CT spawn, and this is T spawn. No skybox, and no way to get to the other side without cheats. I've heard that David Johnston was tasked by Valve to make this map for CSS, but there's no confirmable evidence I could find to suggest that. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. If Dust 3 was disappointing, how about Dave's actual released sequel, DE Dust PCG? PCG stands for PC Gamer, specifically the UK magazine. This map was made as a tutorial teaching the basic principles of CS source level design, and it's also his first source map. It's really not a bad one. As Dave mentioned, it does maintain parts of Dust and Dust 2, so it's familiar in a way, not just because of the textures. Playing this map, it does feel reminiscent of old, and that is not to say it doesn't provide a new and different approach instead of being a collage of the previous Dust maps. It was kinda popular in community servers. A mapper called Tato Eugen even backported it to CS 1.6 as CSS Dust 3, and I've had the chance to play it quite a bit. Additionally, 3Clicks Philip has ported it to CSGO, if you fancy that. Does all of this make it a true sequel? While not specifically expressed as such, it honestly might as well be, regardless of popularity or numbering. Inferno. Okay, here there's not really anything official, but DE Inferno 2 SE is a community-made sequel made by a mapper called Zab. No idea what the SE at the end is for. Okay, so why is this significant? Anyone can take a familiar map name and put a 2 on it. Well, this one is actually good and pretty popular in CS 1.6. What is good and Inferno about it? I guess besides using the older textures, it does have apartments, boxes, a window, and a sandbox pit. No, but in all seriousness, it's good. I've played on this map, but it's not like it doesn't come with its own issues. See, the problem here is T entry points are narrow and few, making this map in a way rather CT-sided in my opinion. Nonetheless, it was a lot of fun to play on. Heck, someone has even made a CSGO version of it that does address some of the issues by giving the Ts another route to B site. No source version though, my guess is because Inferno itself did receive some significant updates. Even though it's not a top tier nor official map in any capacity, I think in a way it is worthy of being a sequel to the original Inferno. Adstick, yes, the one and only Diffuse map has a sequel, this time a direct one by Chris Audi himself. I've talked about it before in my Cut CZ Maps video, but yeah, it was cut, unfortunately. Maybe it wasn't meant to be, or there were issues we may never really know about. I only briefly talked about how it has big bomb sites and is too linear with not many options, though I feel that is because the map just wasn't finished. This CT spawn point doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Maybe that closed off area was supposed to be the spawn. Seems highly possible. It does take inspiration from the previous Adstick, but if there is one big positive, it's the bomb sites, especially B site with its verticality. verticality, but again, probably not finished. There are some community-made at-stick sequels, but none have truly garnered any serious traction. Last thing I want to mention is I know some people will disagree, but I still believe Ancient is a spiritual successor to at-stick. It may have nothing to do with it in terms of layout, but aesthetically, it's the same. If you remember, even the files suggest that perhaps the devs tried to remake at-stick, but couldn't and decided on a Dust 2 clone instead. On a similar note, Canals is a spiritual successor to Piranesi, and let me explain why.
Hey, you weren't just about to copy my video about that, are you?
No, of course not. That would be plagiarism.
Okay, just making sure.
Oof. So, both of these maps are made by the same person, Ika Kerenen, and they share a lot of similarities while also being separate from each other. The setting in both feels similar. Canals is in Italy, and although not specifically stated, most likely Piranesi too. What connects the layouts of these maps is the wacky mixed level design featuring various landmarks. They both have some verticality and connectors, providing diversity when navigating the map. One noticeable difference is Piranesi's size is a lot bigger compared to Canals, being more streamlined. But with all these similarities in mind, I don't think it would be wrong to call Canals a spiritual successor to Piranesi. Italy. Alright, here's another unofficial sequel that I have talked about. Boy, aren't I getting lazy. Made by Nicolas Olsson, we have CS Italy 2, and just like Inferno 2, it was popular. Although these days it's mostly forgotten considering it's a hostage map. Layout is kinda simplistic to a fault, really. Both the left and right side of it are almost the same, and the middle route does not favor T's at all. Yeah, it's understandable why this one fell off. This may not have been the most relevant or popular round of sequels and successors, just mostly speculation and a mixed bag of unreleased or unofficial stuff. Maybe sequels in particular are not necessary. With so many tools at our disposal, it's not worth it. In the olden days, it probably made a lot more sense, but today, you can just rework an existing one or in some cases create a spiritual successor. Seems a lot more viable as an option, but that's how it works in CS and in other shooter games too. That's the thing though, official or not, the fact CS has such cases is a testament to its legacy and popularity. In the meantime, my oven is testing my patience. Like, why doesn't it heat up? The buttons are functional, please. I'm just trying to bake my stupid onion rings.